Hello everybody, it is Nicole from iiKiui where I want to help you improve your art. Welcome back to another mini tutorial. I hope you guys are enjoying them so far. Last week we covered the wet on wet technique, so this week we are going to cover the wet on dry technique. So without further ado, grab some paper and some paint and let's hop right into that tutorial. Like the name suggests, the wet on dry technique is basically adding wet paint to dry paper or a dry spot on your drawing. Like the last exercise, we will be using 3 boxes. In the first box, we will be creating a flat wash using the wet on dry technique. Dip your brush into water, grab some paint, and mix it on your palette. Make sure you have enough paint for the entire box. Once you have the color ready to go, grab your paint and start applying it to the box. Typically, I start from the top and move down in horizontal strokes. Make sure your brush is wet so it can apply the watercolor without drying out. If you run out of color, go back to your paint and apply more. The key is to keep it moving. Similar to using markers, you want to keep the area you're working in wet. If it dries, it will leave a dry spot. Since we are applying paint to dry paper, the paint will dry faster because it is absorbing faster than if we applied it to wet paper. Continue moving down until the whole box is covered. It should look seamless. The reason I do this with wet on dry technique instead of wet on wet is because when using the wet on wet technique, it can create puddles. With the wet on dry technique, it's easier to control how much paint is applied and how evenly. In the second box, choose a color. Add a thin, light layer all over the box. Now, let it dry. If you add any other colors before this layer dries, it will appear fuzzy. Now that the layer has dried, add a darker saturation of the color in any pattern or shape. To make things simple, I'm going to do a chevron pattern. Let that layer dry again, or use the hairdryer like I did, and repeat the process, going up or down until you reach the end of the box. You can use this technique when you want more control of where the paint will go, because unlike the wet on wet technique, the paint will only go where you put it. Because we let the layer before dry completely, you get a nice crisp edge to your paint. In the third box, we will be making a crossed pattern. I'm using a flat brush for this exercise because it will make it a little easier. First, grab some paint and start making vertical lines. If you want to, you can change the transparency of each line. After it dries, take the same paint and go horizontally. Because the layer before had dried, you will see a different shade where the two lines cross. If you played around with the transparency, you will see different shades in each cross section. Unfortunately, I used too much paint in the last section, and adding wet paint into it caused it to bleed. That's why these exercises are great for practicing, and I obviously need to practice more. I hope you enjoyed this mini tutorial. Next week I will have another mini tutorial on blending, so if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications of when that comes out. If you found this tutorial useful or helpful in any way, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below telling me what else you want to see for mini tutorials in the future. So with that, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Keep drawing, keep creating, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!